Edumate.tv, India's first live TV initiative focusing on higher education. I am Swati Negi Chibbar. A lot has been happening and not happening in the world of education post the outbreak of COVID-19 and the subsequent introduction of India's new education policy 2020. Let's take a look at some of these which are making our top stories.
Delhi University admissions go fully online. Many states yet to decide school reopening dates, unsure due to COVID-19 situation. Karnataka announces 3-week midterm holiday for schools from October 12th to October 30th. Schools do not reopen in Maharashtra before Diwali, Education Minister Varsha Gaikwad. LSR records highest cutoffs at 100% for 3 courses. No need to spend dollars on a foreign degree anymore, Ramesh Pokhriyal. IIM alumni Shrikant Datar becomes the Dean of Harvard, second consecutive Indian to achieve so. Modi wants Oxford, Harvard and Yale to open campuses in India. Role of NCERT is very important in implementing new education policy. Political Science and BCom Honours, toughest to get in at Delhi University. Delhi University cutoffs bring out the flaws in the system. Postpone board exams to May next year, Delhi government to High Court. Despite high cutoffs, Delhi University sees a high number of applications. NTA to hold NEET re-exams for students who weren't able to appear for MHCET due to power outage. Mizoram to reopen schools for class 10th and 12th on October 16th. Gujarat colleges to end academic year by July 2021. Expert says that NEET cutoffs will be higher. Punjab allows school to reopen for class 9th to 12th after October 15th. Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University to be operational soon, Arvind Kejriwal. Court issue non-bailable warrant against Uttarakhand Education Minister Arvind Pandey along with 3 MLAs in road blocking case. NEET result 2020, Odisha's Soeb Aftab and Delhi's Akanksha Singh secured perfect score of 720 out of 720. For in-depth details of all stories and analysis, log on to www.edumate.tv.
These were the top headlines from the world of education. Now let's move on to our special series on the class of 2020, where we engage with students, teachers, principals and university professors on special topics which are creating a buzz in the post-COVID environment.
Hello and a very, very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Chetan Sharma. We learn to live and live to learn in what has turned out to be an unprecedented situation, unprecedented time, an unprecedented pandemic, with history being written across the geography of our Mother Earth. And a minor virus has led to a major catastrophe across the realms of the globe. It's time now to rewind, rethink, reset, and reboot before we rebuild. In a situation like this, the only certainty remains uncertainty, and the only constant remains change. And while change is an inevitable ingredient in all progress, all change does not lead to progress. So what is the change that leads to progress? That is the dilemma which all of us are trying to grapple with. In a situation where we shift from offline to online and try to understand how much of which is good enough for our young children to make them worthy citizens of this country, keeping conscious of the fact that we cannot increase the gap between the haves and the have-nots through a digital divide. And for that, we bring to you the class of 2020, where we talk to students, we talk to professionals, we talk to educationists, we talk to principals, teachers, we talk to vice chancellors of universities to try and understand the problems of the students and to answer whatever they can within the realms of their thinking. And the objective being that all that we discuss in this program and the several episodes that we plan to do over the next 3 months, we will submit it in a white paper to the Government of India as the suggestions for the new education policy of this country. So welcome to a part of history. Well, this program is brought to you by Education, which looks at education ahead, and it's powered by Edumate University. Let me first start by introducing our very, very prestigious guest.
Hey, welcome to Edumate. I'm proud to be part of Edumate University.
Edumate University.
So we're going to have now the question answer session. And Aarti, could you tell us which is the first question?
So Raktam says, since home environment and college school environment is different, so concentration and seriousness about studies has become a problem, as many students think that they are at home. So the studies can be done whenever they seem fit.
Environment where pre-COVID situation, when we go to the school, college or university, sit in the classroom and the teacher came and teacher teaches using blackboard or whiteboard or PowerPoint presentation or other thing. It's completely different when in the post-COVID or the ongoing COVID era, when everyone is sitting at home and teacher is teaching through online resources. Every students may not have a big home, multiple rooms. So obviously sometimes they have to sit together with other persons who are moving around, and that could be a distraction. And sometimes students may also think it's a kind of a stopgap kind of situation. It's not a serious situation, and after some time I'll go back to the school and I'll continue whatever we are doing previously. So sometimes students, even parents, are not aware of the situation and they think it's probably a temporary situation and we'll go back to our previous life similarly. But that's probably not going to happen for some time, and we, as the promo said, and many others are already discussing, that we have to shift to a different era. Now the digital is the preference, and obviously the classroom teaching will go on whenever we have time or a situation there. Then we can definitely visit the school. We have to find out a way so the noise around us could be minimized. Previously, there is a set time that I have to go to the school or college at 9 p.m. and I have to come back at 2, 3 or 4. But a set time was there, synchronous teaching was there. But now, as a digital era, I think we have to go into asynchronous way of teaching, where there is probably no set time, and teaching could go on at evening also, in the morning also, anytime depending on the situation and availability of the teacher and the students.
During this COVID also until now through online, that students have been saying that they are not being able to concentrate at home because of some constraints at home. Small houses, maybe they don't have their own single room. But I would say to my dear students that this is a constraint, and as a student of class 2020 of grade 12, I think in any situation we need to adjust, whether we are in a offline classroom situation, we have to concentrate, or whether we are working now online. and it's an important change which has been happening, and we need to concentrate and we need to focus in any situation. I generally say that these are the excuses with most of the students when they are in online and offline. They say that we are not being able to focus on what the teacher has been talking of, and we are not being able to concentrate like this. So I think that students need to be more serious in any mode of learning.
Is the online education system not discriminating among all type of students?
Online education system is not discriminating. What is discrimination factor is the infrastructural problem. All right. Online education is for everyone. Whoever has access to it would be able to get it. All right. As this time period has come in, this dark phase of our life, all right, so the unprecedented pandemic that has happened, it has given rise to a lot of questions, all right? So we are in front of a new era, okay? So from now onwards, the governments have also started thinking of improving on the infrastructure, on the internet connectivity and everything. And I'm sure that with time, things would be better, much better. But at this point in time, I think we have that discrimination. We have that digital differences. We understand some people have net access, some people don't. And that was the only reason what I was thinking of is when we are trying to educate all our teachers, right, in teachers training programs, we would try and create not only online classes, but also entire learning system. Predominantly in the curriculum, you would see multiple changes that's going to happen. Besides, obviously, we can never separate only online classes or only classroom classes. No, it would be a combination. From now onwards, you would see multiple. So most of the time, most of the classes would go into a hybrid mode, where you would have online classes as well as offline, for example, in the classroom classes. Now, for online, it's not going to be only online sessions. It's going to be transfer of videos. For example, you go to a place where you have better internet connectivity. You can download that video. You can download that presentation. And when you go back home, you can use those, right, as your study material.
Almost every student who belongs to a middle class family, they don't have gadgets, and their parents are thinking that online studies are not useful as offline.
I would like to point this, the total change which is happening and which is going to come in the education system. We have to come forward in terms of coining 3 words and attaching all these 3 words. I gave it 3C, connecting 3C. Connection, connect is very important when we are shifting our gears from offline education towards online education. So connection, connecting the children, connectivity in terms of infrastructure. Second is curriculum. The curriculum needs to be thought of how we are going to take forward, because as Mr. Joy also said, learning has got 3 ways. It is through listening, it is through seeing, and it is through doing. So the government or the institutions will have to think about this care. How can we care to the root level, to each and every student, whether it's a poor student, whether it's a middle class student, whether it's a rich student. So we'll have to take care of all the students. Student is same. Anyone can be a good student.
Won't online classes on mobile make students addicted to technology?
Controlling it should come from within our own self. As we are talking about students, they need to understand the situation, or parents need to make them understand the situation. It is because of this situation we are making them allow, or maybe we are allowing them to use these gadgets for a longer period. So we should, as a student, should take it seriously and should not try not to misuse the gadgets which are being given to them.
How can we recover the education losses the students have undergone during this global coronavirus pandemic?
Every situation we get experienced. That experience is the knowledge. It's knowledge is not that whatever written in the books and we are just reading it and we are assimilating it. Sometimes the situation gives you lots of knowledges similarly, the COVID situations also giving you lots of new knowledges that we do not know about. Most of us do not know about the coronaviruses like 2 months ago. Now we know lots of things about it, right? So this is also helpful because we have to coexist with this disease, with this virus for a long time. So it's not an educational loss. Whatever the loss you think it's in your mind, everything can be recovered. And I know that teachers are working very hard. As students, you are also working hard, cooperating with the faculty members and teachers. And if whatever the loss you think, it's a momentary loss, and everything can be recovered through online digital teaching, as well as whenever we have time, brief time to visit our school, then we can get back to that also.
We like the students to perform some art, some way of telling us that they are secure, some way of telling us that they are happy, some way of telling us that they want to express themselves. And today we've got Hridoy and Rakim to tell us exactly that. We'd like to hear from them.
हंसता रहता हूँ तुझसे मिलकर क्यों आजकल बदले बदले है मेरे तेवर क्यों आजकल आंखें मेरी हर जगह ढूंढे तुझे बेवजह ये मैं हूँ या कोई और है मेरी तरह कैसे हुआ तू इतना जरूरी कैसे हुआ तू इतना जरूरी कैसे हुआ मैं बारिश की बूंद समझता नहीं था हवाओं से मैं उलझता नहीं था सीने पे दिल की कहाँ थी मुझे ये खबर कहीं पे हो रातें कहीं पे सवेरे आवारगी रही साथ मेरे ठहर जा कहती है क्या हाल हो गया है मेरा आँखें मेरी हर जगह ढूंढे तुझे बेवजह ये मैं हूँ या कोई और है मेरी तरह कैसे हुआ तू इतना जरूरी कैसे हुआ इतना जरूरी कैसे हुआ Thank you.
Welcome back to Edumate.tv, India's first live TV initiative focusing on higher education. Well, it is indeed an interesting class of 2020. Now, isn't it? We will bring it right back to you after a short break. Stay tuned.
Education policy is going to bring quality in the system of education in general and higher education in particular with the help of 5-pillar concept of education stressed by Honorable Prime Minister, that is accessibility, affordability, equity, quality and accountability.
खेलो कूदो और पढ़ो वाली जो पॉलिसी है बहुत अच्छा रहेगा बच्चों के लिए बच्चे का एक शारीरिक विकास भी अच्छा होगा और उसके ऊपर वजन नहीं रहेगा और दूसरा जो इंग्लिश को एकदम दबाव नहीं बनाया है उसमें बच्चा की क्षेत्रीय लैंग्वेज और जो मातृभाषा है उसको स्टडी करेगा
There are so many things which are attached to the education policy which would not only give opportunities of better research and better upskilling to the students, but opportunities to get a good job or imbibe a skill set which would help them even in becoming an entrepreneur.
This policy will take care of the economy of our country, and also I think we will once again emerge as a universal guru for higher education.
Well, ironically, the new education policy aims not just at education, but the entire gamut of human resource development, as it expands the lens beyond structured curriculum and predictable careers to a holistic 360-degree character-building process, as it addresses the critical needs of employment and employability, offering a creative mix of flexibility and focus all throughout the learning life of a student, as it empowers the teacher, enhancing transparency and accountability through leaner governance. The new education policy truly has the makings perfect and clear 2020 vision, provided it's implemented in true letter and spirit. As coronavirus makes us realign and educators line up for online, will classes reopen and end the homestay? How much screen time is actually okay? Parents panic for a safer state, and students in the lockdown frustrate when physical distancing is the new norm and masks and gloves become the uniform. The digital divide is becoming sinister. We now need solutions from our dear minister.
हमारी शीर्ष प्राथमिकता उस छात्र छात्रा के जीवन की रक्षा करने का है,
ताकि पूरे देश में भी कहीं कोई बच्चा सोचे मुझे एडमिशन नहीं मिला लेकिन मैं दिल्ली में जाके रह सकता हूँ, उसको भी ये कंफर्म हो जाए कि मुझे दिल्ली में एडमिशन मिल जाएगा।
परिस्थितियां इसी प्रकार बनी रहती है तो आने वाले टाइम में कुछ न कुछ निर्णय लेंगे। तो इसलिए हमारा विचार है कि हमें स्कूल खोलने चाहिए।
We can be a tool in the days to come to go use digital mediums of education system.
A market is all about demand and supply. We have to see what are the emerging areas where we have to provide skill and education.
Excellent teachers should be inducted into the education system as teachers, and they should transform this to their children.
पहाड़ी क्षेत्र में टावर का कमी होता है, जो आदिवासी क्षेत्र है
जी
सभी के पास ऑनलाइन मोबाइल नहीं है, तो बहुत सारी बातें हैं।
Thank you, Chetan Sharma and Edumate TV have been doing a wonderful job of connecting with people of all sectors, and the churning that takes place. It is like Samudra Manthan, and we will get what you say Amrita. You carry the Amrita to the government, and let us all drink that poison and like Shiva and make this education system glorious.
Welcome back to Edumate.tv, India's first live TV initiative focusing on higher education. Now let's go back to our class of 2020 and join Chetan Sharma, founder of Edumate.tv, in conversation with students, teachers, principals and university professors on special topics which are creating a buzz in the post-COVID environment.
In every class, we have slow learner students from the e-learning modes of education are not as effective as the classroom mode of education. So what can we implement for those students so that they don't have to lose this academic year?
When I talk about slow learner, let's try and understand this. I think predominantly, if you look at the online learning mechanism, the entire thing we are talking about, we are shifting to a different perspective of learning. That's going to help people. So whether we talk about a slow learner or a fast learner, we all need to get everyone at the same platform. I think this is one great step we are going to take when we are applying learning, learning management system.
Will this e-learning system of education likely to increase school dropout rate?
People are dropping, but not to that extent that we should be really serious about it. There are many who are looking forward to go back to the schools. Schools are adapting these changes, and students are also wanting to go back. I think we need to all think positive, and the phobia which we were talking about, we as a parents or as a teachers, we need not to share most of the things related to the fear or the phobia regarding this education of the school system for the students, and let them enjoy the way they have been learning. And I think we should make them very easy with whichever mode this change has been asking us to move forward.
It will be other way around. Dropouts will not increase, but because of the connectivity which is going to happen, because I'm sure the connectivity is only a problem. The connectivity, if reaches to a rural level, people will start getting educated, taking education from home, and there will be a little change in terms of thought process shift. It will take a little bit of time, but when these things are established, I think dropouts will not be there. There will be more number of participants, more number of students coming in, even from rural places, because today children do not want to go to school. So if they have got a facility available that they can learn it from school, and the habits are transformed and changed, I think we will have more education system, better education system in the country, and this is going to help out. So dropouts we should not think of.
Many students do not have books, desks, laptop or smartphone. How is e-learning possible for those students?
I'll say to my students, when there is a will, there is a wish. There is a wish, there is a way, and I think despite of coming to these excuses that we do not, e-learning, yes, is a challenge to our rural area. That is true. I think the government and the system is trying to address with this. But if you talk about books, desks, the other offline modes of learning, they are, I think we all are well equipped with that. Whether we are talking about rural areas, whether we talk about our urban areas, there are an opportunities, and we need to just look into those opportunities, and we need to move ahead with those opportunities. So I think books are surely available to our rural students also.
Will the ministry provide training to the school teachers and students also to persuade digital education?
Many teachers actually not very digitally equipped. They are not even at our university. You have seen that most of the teachers are actually able to, but still always there will be some teachers who are not good at, and but probably if you persuade them, if you provide them opportunities through FDP programs, teacher learning programs, or professor learning program, then they probably then they will catch up. We should not wait for ministry to help us. We should every institution, every school, every college, every university should arrange teaching learning programs. They should arrange these programs to actually develop the teachers, the existing teaching pool, so that they can actually use the whatever digital learning devices are available, and the different ways, different programs, because obviously we have to be digitally literate also. Now it is, previously it was not like that, even if some teachers doesn't know, some teachers can just use the whiteboard or blackboard and they can teach. But nowadays 100% of the teachers has to be digitally literate, and digital literacy is just not like that we access Facebook or access other programs. We have to learn different other programs that can be useful to provide teaching to the online community, like students and other teachers also. ministry can help, because as you know that only 2.5% is spent towards education system in India. And definitely government will look into that. I am sure that they will revisit that, and I hope they will increase the percentage so that everything, some part of that can be spent towards the infrastructure and this kinds of money.
Whenever a new technology comes in, a new thing comes in, there is always resistance. So you would realize the challenges you would find in the two perspectives. One is the accessibility of it. The second one is the mindset of it. All right. So these are the two areas where we face predominantly, we see resistance. Now, if you go back, history says that when we talk about pedagogy, all right, so it was teacher coming into the class, giving lecture. It was a one-way communication. Students used to listen and go home. Now, with time, you would see teachers have changed. They have started using presentations. They have started using multiple other aids, visual aids, videos, all right? So this change has happened. We have seen it in our history, would talk about it. Now, today also, this change is going to happen. Yes, we people who are, probably looking at it, managing it, need to take actions to make sure that they all become more equipped with the new learning system or new teaching system. Okay. So I think there are multiple activities that are getting planned, okay, for becoming more digitally, affluent, as well as the different ways of looking at it. As I keep talking about, there is something which is called Bloom's taxonomy, the way a person learns, all right? So we are talking to all the trainers, we talk to all the teachers and trainers and make them understand what are the multiple perspectives. So it's not only about the government, it's about all the universities, all the colleges, all the schools. They need to take initiative to make all their teachers, trainers, and the professors upgraded to the next level.
You talk about change. Let's change the scene and get some more talent into this system. We've got Rock B with us.
Okay, thank you.
All students are not careful enough to complete their homework or classwork during online classes. Will it be possible to cope up for an individual to equalize progress?
I think the teachers know how to assess a child with a very different modes also. For this urban area, they can give some assignments, online assignments, and can ask them to submit. While when they're talking of rural areas wherein some gazettes, some students are accessible to those, they can ask some quick questions, random questions from the topic which they have been covering to understand whether they have understood or not. So we have to come out of that our traditional mode of homework giving and checking that homework part. We can check this knowledge through our random questions to different students also, and giving them the online assignments. Yes, it's a challenge, and there are various I think modes the teachers are adopting nowadays to understand their classwork and the homework from the students.
Deepak Verma, could we have your comments on career choices? I never saw too many questions on that, but I know that this must be something that is really in the back of the minds of our students. How do they make a choice of a career in an environment which is changing rapidly, wherein careers and employment, opportunities are also getting lost, but a lot of new ones are coming about. How do you make a choice of a career?
One line which really gave me encouragement in terms of writing my book about career is what Albert Einstein said, that the fish's ability to climb its tree will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. So if we expect a fish to climb a tree, we cannot think of a fish climbing a tree. So understanding the strength is very, very important of a child. And today, when things are transformed or things are going to transform post-COVID, it becomes more the very important and more relevant to really understand the strength of a child. There are 34 strengths across known strengths. So children should really, before jumping into a career, they should first really try to understand their strengths. There are a lot of good processes. There are a good number of psychological tests. There are many of online things available where they need to really understand the strength. I talk about KCC matrix, which is knowledge, clarity, and confidence. So when the strength is known, when the strength is properly understood of a child, then only the child should start working on the learning and development process of that particular strength. A child should select 5 of its top strengths, work upon it, learn it properly. When he starts working upon his strength and learning on a proper strength, his knowledge increases. And when his knowledge increases, what happens? The interest of that particular child also increases on that particular thing, because it is his strength, his interest which has come together. So what happens during his learning and development process? He inclines and starts devoting time, whether it is online, whether it is offline, it starts devoting time. As there was a question that at home, what we do, family is small. But if there is an interest of a child in that particular thing, whether it is a career related to singing, whether it's career related to engineering, whether it's career related to anything, if that interest is there, I'm 100% sure that the child will leave everything and start indulging into it. So that learning and development will increase. And when this learning and development increases, he should enter into practice. A different platform is coming, a different platform has come. And in this online platform, I'm sure that people will have got a lot of opportunities to find out their strengths, increase their learning and development. What Mr. Joy was talking about, they can continuously learn, and then if they practice it, I'm sure they will certainly have a very good understanding.
We'll take closing comments very quickly from Professor Rudra, Professor Chaudhary, and Priyanka. You can let us know your closing comments, as well as also add what you think that you liked in this show.
Every new challenge creates opportunities, and in my opinion, that we should embrace all the opportunities. Obviously the challenges will be there, and with time we can find out ways to minimize the impact. The digital learning is going to stay for a long time, and that's the new normal.
Remember one thing: what you do today, what book you read today, what actions you take today is going to decide 5 years down the line which car you would drive. It's your life. Make sure you get it right. Go to everyone, whoever is known to you, whoever can help you on whatever it is. Amazing, fantastic, Chetan, as usual, amazing. And I really appreciate all the speakers, Mr. Verma, Dr. Verma, Dr. Srivastava, obviously Rudra sir, and all of us together. I think it is going to create a lot of value, and it's going to add a lot of value to all the students across.
The program was really wonderful, and I think the students have got some clarity out of this program. My message to my students is that they should positively accept this change and unlearn yourself and move ahead the way the times have been come.
The initiative, at a very right time, you have taken it to really make children understand that what are the challenges they are going to face in terms of online education, how they are going to handle it. So bringing all those faculties here, I think a lot of questions are answered of many students. So that's the beauty of online. And second thing is, I would request you to make it a big program. Many number of students across the country should listen this, so that they get helped out of it. And because many students in the country would be having same questions and same challenges. So I think it should reach to mass, and most of the students get benefited out of it, so that the adaptability of online education becomes much more easier. Thank you so much.
We'd like to know from the students what they like best from today's webinar.
From today's webinar, I have learned, despite of this coronavirus, we have to overcome all the challenges and do what we should do. The things which you have told us, the answers which you have told us, will help many students, and the students who are here to cope up with all the problems.
Ma'am, actually the best thing that I know about most of the great teachers like Sylvester ma'am, then Joy sir, Deepak sir, and about this book also, which can help in planning our career to a best level.
Congratulations, class of 2020 India.
My compliments to you.
Dear class of 2020 India.
Big congratulations to you all, the class of 2020.
Hello, class of 2020 India. All the best for the class of 2020.
Sending lots of love to the class of 2020 India.
To all the graduating students from the class of 2020 India.
Hello, class of 2020.
Here's wishing class of 2020 a big congratulations.
A big congratulations to the class of 2020.
To all you graduating kids of the class of 2020.
And I'm delighted to be speaking to all of you.
Class of 2020 India. Wow.
And I want to wish all the class of 2020 India.
Class of 2020 India, I raise a toast to you.
Sorry that the circumstances are so dire that you can't have a proper celebration and event.
And I know that after 16 years of hard work, you all must be thinking, why now? Why us?
We don't have control over these situations, but you can choose how we react to them. No matter how you're feeling right now, you have to know that the future is bright because the future is you.
I feel bad that you will not have a graduation party this time, but then you have the rest of the life, and that you will ponder and reset the system.
You have a huge party awaiting you, and that party is called life.
You are going to pave the way for a future, for a tomorrow that is sustainable, inclusive. You, my friends, are an essential building block for the trends that are to come.
We've been thrown into a virtual digital world, and who better than all of you to figure out what technological solutions are possible.
Going forward into the future, you shall be the torchbearers of a new world.
So go out there, work really hard, fulfill your dreams.
You guys are going to make a change to the world for the better, that's for sure.
2020 is unlike anything we'd expected, and you are the first graduates to make way in this brand new world.
This COVID nightmare. It'll change you all in the way you look at the world, and make you more deeply sensitive, appreciate what you all have.
You people are really experienced the most toughest things, and I am sure of that. You will all be prepared for your future.
Please keep hope. Hope is life. It will be a great nation for all of you. You will cherish.
You might have missed out on a graduation ceremony, but here you are with the whole country celebrating you.
Your batch is not going to be called the pandemic class. In fact, this is the batch that's going to change the world.
You are at a very, very special age. It's the only time in your life where you can believe that the world will change.
And like one eminent writer, Tom Friedman, said, that according to him, this is a war between Mother Nature and Father Greed. And it's up to you who will decide where that balance will be and what the new world will look like.
I'm not going to be a part of this pity party, and I'll tell you why. Because I see you as winners.
When this ends,
will make you deeper and finer people to go out and embrace the world and put your stamp on whatever journey you choose.
You guys will understand compassion, unity, cooperation and peace more than anyone else.
The post-COVID world is also going to give you a series of new opportunities, of new thoughts, new ideas, and you're going to be in an amazing, amazing place.
You bring hope for the future, and that is a reason to celebrate.
Sometimes it is quite adventurous, romantic, tough, painful, but young blood can take everything very happily and fight it.
It's you guys who are going to make the biggest change from now on. So welcome to the best days, the best years of your life.
I think it's the best stage of life because when you're starting off, you have so many dreams, so many thoughts, and an entire life ahead to go and fulfill that.
Your batch is going to be the first batch to come out in a much cleaner, much wiser, and a much greener world.
You lose something, you gain something. You lose something, there is something very positive after that. And we hope that that comes to you.
I'm looking at this as an adversity which is throwing up huge opportunities for innovation. Innovating new vaccines, innovating new therapies, innovating new tests.
There will be an amazing party that awaits you, a party where you will find your space, find your place in life, and celebrate the rest of your existence.
Under your leadership, I'm sure the world will be a better place for all of us.
I'm sitting over here to give you all my love and all my respect because you guys deserve it, all this and more.
I want you to come out of this feeling stronger and more confident because you figured it all out.
Our children have the brightest brains in the world, so I'm sure all of you will land up on your feet and be able to conquer the world.
Give yourself a pat on the back. You guys have done amazingly well.
You all will put your stamp on the world and leave it a better place than we found it.
You will be the leader of compassion.
So hang in there and just enjoy your day and enjoy your year ahead.
I love you all and I wish you the very best.
I stand by you, I look up to you, and you will lead us.
And I want to wish all the class of 2020 India a very bright future.
God bless, live life to the fullest, and go make your dreams.
Wish you all the best to go out there and do what you want to do and fulfill your dreams.
And I hope and I pray that your Josh is always high.
Congratulations on your graduation. You guys are the future.
Alright, love you guys. Bye-bye.
All the best.
All the best to the class 2020 India.
Welcome back to Edumate.tv, India's first live TV initiative focusing on higher education. Coming ahead is our very special show, The Vice Chancellor, with Professor Durabajyoti Chattopadhyay, Vice Chancellor, Sister Nivedita University, Kolkata, in an exclusive conversation of insights and inspiration with Chetan Sharma, founder Edumate.tv. Over to Chetan.
Hello and welcome to Edumate.tv. I'm Chetan Sharma. We learn to live and live to learn in what has turned out to be an unprecedented situation, an unprecedented pandemic, with history being written across the geography of Mother Earth. And a minor virus has created a major catastrophe, making each and every one of us rewind, rethink, reboot, re-strategize, restructure, reformat before we rebuild a new normal, a new life. In the world of higher education, particularly, the two facets which are critical to enable us to encounter the challenges, find creative solutions, and more importantly, create opportunities, are one which stems from the past experience, past knowledge. And the second facet would be the future. Pliability, embracing it, evolving with it, and anticipating it. And to do both of those with one mind makes a very wise chancellor. And we have a very wise one with us today, Dhrubajyoti Chattopadhyay from the Sister Nivedita University in Kolkata. What a pleasure to have you, sir, with us. The University of Sister Nivedita has built itself a high repute in a short period of time. Tell us how and why.
First of all, I think that in the last 2 years, from the very beginning, when this particular university been established, we have certain things in our mind that how to progress with our education. And from the very beginning, we tried to actually have this learning management system with open sources and MOOCs in our program itself. So what happened, that students could get more or less an very updated curricula as well as the teaching. I look at this situation when this corona, the virus, which is submicroscopic, you cannot see without electron microscope, is actually make all of us actually completely in a mess. And there, one very important thing, it looks like that it's just like the nature is putting us in front of a corona test. We forgot a lot of things actually. The things which should be within us, we became very, very materialistic and also consumer oriented. Now here I just want to mention that Sister Nivedita and Swami Vivekananda taught us that education should lead and not follow. And it should always equip us for the future and not keep us chained to the past. It must be the domain of the greatest creativity and not be the slave of habit. If education has to help usher in tomorrow, it should not be afraid of change. And in that philosophy, when this total challenge has been put forward in front of us, whereby we could see that there are 3 different keywords: the new realities, new challenges, and the new normal are in front of us. So how to use that philosophy in putting this up? And that itself helped us for the last 2 years to develop. We always try to give our students the best, not only with respect to the knowledge, but with respect to the ethical values, with respect to their different types of extracurricular activities. And this, we are talking about choice-based credit systems and other things, but we actually incorporated that from the very beginning so that the students can opt for the different types of subjects as per their wishes.
Well, that's, so obviously what you're suggesting is the need for holistic education. And, I'm so happy that you brought that up, and you are addressing that because at the end of it all, that is what's going to make the difference. It's not the textbook, and it's not only what you teach, it's how you teach and how well you ensure that the learning happens. I think that, and perhaps even the virus is teaching us that learning has to be a responsibility of various factions of education. It's not just the teacher, not just the student, it's the parent as well. It's the principal as well. It's the vice chancellor as well. And as long as each of us are open to learning, there's no way that we'll not succeed. Do you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. That when all of a sudden that lockdown been announced and we have to shut the university, though we have this online education management system, but the practice of the faculty members and the students to avail this opportunity was pretty less. And when from management we have requested that everything should be online now onwards, there is a huge resistance. So they started up thinking, oh, internet connections will be a problem, oh, that will be a problem, this will be a problem, the teachers are not ready with it. Though this is there for last 2 years, but we cannot actually impose this. This is a philosophy that we wanted, that these particular platforms are available, we should use this. But now there is no choice, so they have to use it. And within 15 days, I can tell you, there is a complete change in mindset. So the first challenge in front of us is the mindset of us, mindset of faculties, mindset of the students, mindset of the parents. All four fronts are equally responsible for giving so much of resistance to this particular type of education and could not get the actual fruits out of it. Now, when they could realize that in a class it is possible to have quizzes, in a class the interactions are going to be much, much higher. In a class, the backbenchers who never responded, they are coming up with questions. Because earlier, everybody is thinking what the others, if this is a silly question, the others will react on it. But when I am from home, I am not. I can ask any question. So all these things are slowly coming up in a way so that after the, say for example, 45 days, I could find, it becomes pretty popular. I really understand the problem of the bandwidth. I really understand the problem with the internet connections. They're looking at the things that we have to unlearn a lot of things and we have to relearn a lot of things.
How beautifully put, sir. How beautifully put. And I'm so glad that you're bringing all this out from Kolkata. In fact, I had the fortune of being born and brought up there and having my early education in Kolkata. And, in that capacity, the change in mindset was the first thing that we had learned when we heard Rabindranath Thakur's famous poem, "Where the mind is without fear." And I think that was a huge catalyst in us opening up our mind. And I'm so glad to see educationists like you paying credence to that. And the need to be flexible is also what is critical. But flexibility is not only a question of mind, it's also a question of curriculum, to make it relevant, to make it responsive to the external environment, and also for new career opportunities. So how are you changing and being flexible on that front?
That is what we are facing right now, is the new realities. You know that when we are looking at what is going to be in future, availability of employments, if we look at the nature of the jobs, complete change in the job profiles also, we need an understanding of how to digitalize the whole thing. In the science and technology, the major challenge is the practicals. How we are going to do the practicals, because if the students cannot do the practicals, how they are going to learn. Now, so the concept of the virtual labs, which are there, IITs are there, the programs are there. Nobody practiced it. Now we started to practice it. And now we could get the fruits out of it. In remote corner of the colleges and university, where the sophisticated instruments are not available, with the help of the virtual lab, you can make the students understand about that. So earlier we cannot have that in the curricula, but right now I can actually teach those things. So while doing this particular for the last 3 months, one thing I always sharing with my faculties, think about how to be creative about the next academic session, because there we can have our new academic curricula. And that new academic curricula should incorporate what is possible, what is not. The new curricula should also accommodate the new concepts in the job availability, in the employability of the students. We are talking for the last 1 year, Education 4, Education 4.0, but how much we achieved. But I can tell you that in this short period of time we started, it's almost looked that the corona pandemic catalyzed the whole situation.
Right.
To move forward in a much faster way.
I salute you for actually looking at the opportunity in the crisis, and that's quite brilliant. And that's really what I would have wanted from my Vice Chancellor were I studying in Sustainable University at this point of time. And hopefully maybe I'll pick up a course sometime. It's never too late to learn, is it? That having been said, a lot of learning is also happening across all levels. Professor Chattopadhyay, it's happening for students, parents, teachers. It's also happening for the government, and also the Supreme Court. And to such extent, because there's a lot of discord between the state government, the center governments, within the policies of scrapping examinations, of delaying, opening up of institutions, and there has been various voices because opinions are galore in this country. And there are always two sides of the coin, the pluses and the minuses. So are you happy with the way you think things have panned out from the pure governance angle?
Yes, we are going to change the curricula. We'll look at the curricula from the other side. But with respect to governance, what I can tell you, that the first and foremost important thing is that how the teaching pedagogy is going to be changed. Only then actually we can get to know about. So normally, how we look at the examination. So immediately the question comes about, oh, we have to test what the students understand. You know, that right now with the help of quiz, with the help of regular assessments, we can get to know that where we stand, whether the students could understand. The students are coming up with so many new things. And this is actually a huge learning for us. And that helps in our governance part with respect to examination also. Now, when you said that examination, complete change. So far, what we look at examination, we try to actually judge the students' mugging capacity. But no, we have to try to examine what they understood and how that particular understanding could be implemented. I remember my presidency days. At that period of time, almost 45 years back, our physical chemistry faculty teacher came and said, I want to take an examination, but that should be an open book examination. He said, consult the library, go to library and answer these questions. You know, the questions we couldn't answer when the books are in front of us. And that actually helped me to understand how to look at the book, how to read the book, and how to answer the questions. It's not just there's a notes given by the faculty members. It's not just what they are saying. It has to my understanding, my interaction with teacher, books, everything. And that is one of the most important things with respect to the governance part. The second thing with respect to the governance part is that, you know, that whole thing is actually, we have to do it in isolation. And because we have to maintain social distancing, we have to have mask corners, we have to interact in such a way, all these things are going to be maintained by a strict vigilance, discipline, and other things. Is that going to actually affect our natural things even? And thereby, it will actually give us an understanding also. So with respect to the examination, with respect to the class teaching, change in the class teaching, also with respect to the curricula, our particle, all these things, discipline, everything is going to be a challenge for our governance part.
Right. Now, you mentioned your days in presidency. I wanted to mention some more of your days because I know that you've had a very intriguing career. So I need to understand Dhruva Jyoti Chattopadhyay, the professional. Talk us through your career so far. Inspire those who are watching this show.
It's an interesting journey for me. You know that in our time, people used to take that getting engineering in IIT is going to be the best thing for us to start our career. So when we just qualifying from the higher secondary, and as usual, I got chance in IIT in the final day when I'm supposed to go to IIT with my friends. Also boarded the train for Kharagpur, but this is a train which is actually going to Bankura also. Kharagpur is one of the stoppage. And I didn't get down in Kharagpur, went into Bankura. So when my parents started talking about, at that time mobiles are not there, nothing is there. So when I called them in the afternoon, they said, are you settled in your hostel? I said, no, I have not gone there. What? I said, yes, I don't want to study engineering. I want to study basic science. And what my father said, oh, I am so relieved that you have taken that decision. I also never wanted you to do that. And I'm so happy. And in the meantime, when I took the admission in Presidency College, you know, the Presidency College at that time has got so much of turmoils and everything. But that turmoil itself helped us to learn so many things actually, to go to the books, to understand the books much more, because most of the classes are not being held, to actually interact in a different manner totally with our academics. Everything actually, that particular period helped me so much to be socially conscious as well as academically much more understanding. So while doing that particular career, in the meantime, that I was thinking what I'm going to do in my post-graduation. So at that time, Hargobind Khurana, a few years back, got the Nobel Prize. He's also from chemistry. And in his lecture, he mentioned about that the life chemistry is the most challenging one. So I thought, instead of running to the chemistry, why don't I go to biochemistry? I took biochemistry in my post-graduation. And then, my father is actually retiring and he's the only early member. So while my final examination is going on, I have given the probationary officer in SBI and I got selected. Still remember that date, 7th of March. I'm supposed to join as a probationary officer in State Bank of India. The same thing happened like Kharagpur IIT. I didn't join. And all my relatives are very upset with it because it's a pressure on my father. But father, very happy. And I joined Bosch Institute to start my research. And that research itself ignites within me, and that research is on viruses. So I love the viruses also. The PhD, the post-graduation in virology from United States, came back, joined Calcutta University, started to teach virology. So that's why my dream, actually, I could find that if you want, it will be, I am going to be the most happiest person. When I'm coming back from the United States, all my mentors in the United States, they said, going to Calcutta University, they have no research facility. You were suiciding. But I have in my mind, my grandfather is a school teacher, my father is a college teacher, and I wanted to be a university teacher. I joined Calcutta University. And that joining in Calcutta University, starting my research as a career, I think I tried my best to do things.
They say that humility is one of the key traits of a leader, and you've shown that, humility and passion. You've shown both of those in abundance in your conversation thus far. You've also mentioned about something which today has become a buzzword, disruption. And you seem to have disrupted very early in life because everything you did was unpredictable. You never walked down the predictable path. You chose to disrupt. So what people are now trying to teach is something you did by personal experience, and that's absolutely quite brilliant. So that brings me to my question, is that as a chancellor and the vice chancellor of Sister Nivedita University, what is the disruption that you've introduced here? And also talk us through the legacy of the university. I mean, it comes from the big powerhouse of Techno India, which is, in terms of East India, it's perhaps the biggest in the field of education.
As I mentioned about the pedagogy in our education system, and this disruptive technology is something what is making us much better. So when we talk about this, think about not a typical curricula which exists for 3 years. Make it a dynamic one. We're teaching a curricula, get the feedback from the students. Students want to do these things. Based on that, you change the curricula. So all these things are going to be a continuous dynamic mode. Let us practice that. And in that way, not only the students, but also faculty members, we also have to understand the changing demands of the new generation, changing demands of our surroundings. This is one thing. The second thing is that generally what we'll have, the science students will take only the science subjects as the subsidiary subjects. But you allow them to take the social science subject, painting or journalism or communication. In the first 2 years, almost no student opted for this because there is a huge guidance from the parents which actually tells them, if you do this, you may not get a job afterwards. So you have to take physics, chemistry, mathematics. You have to take history and philosophy. So these are all related subjects, but I just wanted to change that. I just wanted that if these things could be changed, and in that way, you put up the history of science as one of the major themes in your understanding. You put up the research projects. Even in the social science, even in the English students, why they are not going to do the projects? And those projects are actually, they go to the publishing house, they can go to, so during the summertime, they can go to different places, they can have creative workshops, and the creative writing could be one of the major challenges given to them. So in that way, I think the disruptive understanding of education is going to help our students, our next generation, in a much better way. Students are excited, but you know that nothing could be done. Slowly, it's become reality. And when it will become reality, maybe I have to think a different way.
How refreshing! And I salute you for just having these thoughts and this churn in the mind. It reflects the fertility in thinking. And I often say in my programs that the only thing constant is change, and you seem to be just corroborating that you've got to change at every step. And the only way to become adept is first to adapt and then to adopt. So it's beautiful the way you've been thinking and pursuing your thoughts, which itself is very important. I mean, just having an opinion is one thing, but implementing it to a T is quite remarkable. And I commend you for that, Professor Chattopadhyay. I also want to learn from you. In fact, not just me, all our viewers. And all our viewers will come from different cross-sections of society, of the education society. So I want your spot of advice for A, the student, B, the parent, C, the teacher, and D, the fellow Vice Chancellor.
The students, they should actually must think out of box, which has never been appreciated. And we have to start the learning process in a student-centric learning process. We are talking about personalized medicine. We have to think about the personalized teaching also. So each student have the thirst for different areas, understanding of different things. So you have to do that particular understanding, student-centric teaching. For the teachers, I think it is the most important thing is to understand your student, their need. And so far, what we used to do, we thought that I shall teach this thing to the students and then judge them based on that. Let us actually tell them, this is the area I want to teach you. Go back, have some look, and come back with your questions. I shall answer that. So in that way, the whole way of teaching must be changed, and let us be prepared for that. Parents, please never ever try to force your kids to go for something which they don't like. You have to appreciate their things. You can understand where they are doing something, where they're overdoing, but you have to understand the psyche. A student who is interested in painting cannot be forced to go for chemistry, or cannot actually, you can force him to go for mathematics. Give them the chance. Having painting, mathematics, both are very much related. I always actually try to get the interrelationships. So our teaching should be a cross-disciplinary one, and it should across the discipline we have to train our students. So parents, don't try to force your kids against their will. And then as Vice Chancellor, never be satisfied with what you are doing. Keep your thirst on and try to understand your community in a much better way so that you can contribute to the community and actually carry on the philosophy of Sister Nivedita, which is actually completely devotion for the others. And thank you, Edumate, actually, for the last 2 days to get myself more concentrating on what I want to say.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant, it's insightful, and it's humbling, all that you say. And I'm so glad that you say it just the way you said it. You've been disruptive, Professor Chattopadhyay, in your own experiences. You've been disruptive in your practice. You've been disruptive in your thoughts. You've been disruptive in your implementation. And you've been disruptive in how you look at the future. And that's exactly what makes you a very refreshing Vice Chancellor.
University admissions go fully online. Many states yet to decide school reopening dates, unsure due to COVID-19 situation. Karnataka announces 3-week midterm holiday for schools from October 12th to October 30th. Schools to not reopen in Maharashtra before Diwali, Education Minister Varsha Gaikwad. LSR records highest cutoffs at 100% for 3 courses. No need to spend dollars on a foreign degree anymore, Ramesh Pokhriyal. IIM alumni Shrikant Datar becomes the Dean of Harvard, second consecutive Indian to achieve so. Modi wants Oxford, Harvard and Yale to open campuses in India. Role of NCERT is very important in implementing new education policy. Political Science and BCom Honours, toughest to get in at Delhi University. Delhi University cutoffs bring out the flaws in the system. Postpone board exams to May next year, Delhi government to High Court. Despite high cutoffs, Delhi University sees a high number of applications. NTA to hold NEET re-exams for students who weren't able to appear for MHCET due to power outage. Mizoram to reopen schools for class 10th and 12th on October 16th. Gujarat colleges to end academic year by July 2021. Expert says that NEET cutoffs will be higher. Punjab allows school to reopen for class 9th to 12th after October 15th. Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University to be operational soon, Arvind Kejriwal. Court issue non-bailable warrant against Uttarakhand Education Minister Arvind Pandey along with 3 MLAs in road blocking case. NEET result 2020, Odisha's Soeb Aftab and Delhi's Akanksha Singh secured perfect score of 720 out of 720. For in-depth details of all stories and analysis, log on to www.edumate.tv. These were the top headlines from the world of education. Now let's move on to our special series on International New Normal Candid COVID Classroom. Today, we step outside India to take lessons from experts from across the globe, where we engage with industry, domain experts, principals, and university professors on special topics which are creating a buzz in the post-COVID environment.
Hello and welcome to Edumate.tv. I'm Chetan Sharma. In the field of education, particularly, they say, the only thing constant is change. In a pandemic, they say, the only thing certain is uncertainty. It's important to consider that all progress comes from change. But it's even more important to consider that all change does not lead to progress. And that's what makes the situation rather unique as we try and understand the challenges and provide solutions across the world. And most importantly, to create opportunities in the world of education and beyond. We at Edumate.tv have taken upon us a mission to bring together the ecosphere of education, be it the parent, student, the teacher, the principal, the professor, the vice chancellor, the educationist, the educrat, the edu minister, on a common platform to discuss, debate, analyze, as we deal with a very unique situation and try and come up with unique solutions. This program is brought to you by Education, a company that looks at taking education ahead, not just in this country, but across the world. And today we presently, in fact, bring to you a very special episode, our second, as we move and we across boundaries. It's not just love, but even education, which takes us to a language which is common to all of us as we deal with unique and common problems. Our global chapter initiates from today outside the realms of just South Asia, which is our first chapter, with some very, very special guests from the United States, from Sri Lanka, from London, and closer to home, from Iran and Bangladesh, as well as India. Let's take a look at who our very special guests are for today. Well, it's time now to start our webinar, our conversation, our symposium, our colloquium on the intriguing subject of the candid COVID conversations. Challenges, solutions, and opportunities. We'll break this webinar into two halves. The first half will deal with challenges and solutions, and the next half, the most interesting part from my point of view, will deal with the unique opportunities that this environment throws for all of us. Well, we've got a diverse set of subject experts, diverse countries, we've got a diverse set of insights. Let's start by first asking Dr. Robert from Texas. Thank you for joining us, sir. Your three unique challenges which 2020 threw upon you, and the solutions which you and your university were able to come up with.
Today, given the rate of change, and we've studied this in the technology sector, but it's true in other areas as well, the rate of change is so fast that education to keep pace needs to move at a faster pace than it has traditionally moved. So that's the first challenge that I would note. Second one I would note is that the nature of knowledge, and here this is actually, we can see it even more clearly in the context of the pandemic. If we think about the problems and challenges we are engaging globally in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, those challenges and problems are not uniquely legal issues or financial issues or biological issues or technological issues. Instead, they really operate at the intersection of all of those. And a challenge, it seems to me, for education broadly is that we have traditionally thought about our educational models as operating in silos. I'm a professor of law. Someone else is a professor of sociology. Someone else is a professor of biology. And what we are trying to accomplish is achieving the maximum level of depth within each of those silos. The reality is that the nature of problems today that the world is facing, that our students will go into the world to engage, are cross-disciplinary. If we are not giving them grounding across disciplines, we are failing them. And finally, and this is a challenge I would say for traditional educational institutions. So then the solutions. First of all, I would say that, and again, very much this does tie into the coronavirus. I said if there was ever a time to seek forgiveness rather than permission in higher education, it's now. If we were to get ahead of this. So our law school, for example, has been able to open for in-person classes. But some of that is we didn't wait for the regulatory and the bureaucratic processes to run their course. We made a decision to do something, and then we went ahead and submitted the paperwork, knowing that so that it would run its course and take its time, and it would get to the right result. So the first thing I would say is that educational institutions need to embrace the new normal, as we are terming our panel, in terms of streamlining their decision-making processes. Second one is, I would say, rewarding innovators. So when I look at my faculty, there are those who are still struggling. How do I use Zoom? How do I do breakout groups? These kinds of things. And there are those who have dived in with both feet. There are those who have said, I want to do this, I want to figure this out. But that's true more generally too. We have faculty and administrators and deans who want to create new programs, new initiatives, et cetera, et cetera. Universities need to be able to distinctly reward those faculty and those students if they are to thrive and succeed in this new normal. And finally, partnerships, and that's obviously a natural topic for today's session. And I don't mean just partnerships. We are building at Texas A&M University Law School lots of partnerships with institutions, with universities in India. But we're also building partnerships with the Confederation of Indian Industry and with other private sector institutions and with private service providers, right? Non-traditional education providers in India and around the world.
Our population, the student population, most of them are from rural background. The first challenge was that we could not, conduct online classes for them because most of the students did not have access to internet, and some of them don't have even smartphones or laptops. So because of these reasons, we found it difficult to conduct online classes. And also, the teachers, most of the teachers, I mean the lecturers here, working. I'm attached to Faculty of Arts. So in the Faculty of Arts, the teachers lack experience in handling these online tools. So they are some of them are very new to these online platforms. So they require training in using this online platform. So because of these reasons, we could not conduct teaching for our students. So what the solutions we did was, the first thing is, the university, they summoned a meeting, they convened a meeting, and all the faculties participated in the meeting where the Vice Chancellor was present, and all of us made our complaints, the problems. We told our problems to the Vice Chancellor and the faculty members. Then it was taken to the ministry and the UGC. Afterwards, they took initiatives to donate phones, smartphones, and laptops to the students. So now, since the COVID is very much under control in our country. Now, recently we have started the face-to-face mode lectures. So now the students are coming from all parts of the country, and see what right now the problem is that because we have to follow the COVID instructions given by the health Ministry of Health. So we can't accommodate all the students in our university hostels. So now we are trying to hire more houses and houses from outside, and maybe in a couple of weeks we will accommodate all the students, and then we are planning to go back to the normal traditional mode of lectures. Conducting traditional lectures.
Regarding educational problems, I can refer to learning suspension. As we know, because COVID-19 was somehow some specific, something that we have never thought about it before, some experience that we have never had it before. So that is why when the schools were closed, we see the learning was suspended, and we see the interruption in learning. So that's why the students, we didn't know, even the government, because it was for the first time that we have ever, experienced such global experience. It was a health problem, so we have never come across that. That's why the schools were closed, and we were waiting for things to happen. We were waiting for a savior to come, a vaccine. Okay, so that's why the learning was suspended and learning was interrupted actually. The second problem, the second challenges that we've got was the lack of online education facilities. So it was one of the most important things that it was a real challenge that the students in Iran, most of the students in the world, they face. Most of the students, they didn't have any internet, so internet was not available for them. The smartphones, the phones, the online system, so it was really difficult for them to have that one, okay? If we are going to talk about the solutions, I can say that the best way for learning suspension is conveying the culture of learning, okay? Convey the culture of self-learning. Self-learning play an important role, and it gives us, all the learners, all the institutions, if they convey this sense of this culture of self-learning, so it's really important. And in my opinion, if the students learn how to self-learn, all the problems will be happen, okay? In this case, when the students, the learners have got lots of problems, they go and find their problems. they never wait for things to happen. They never wait for a teacher to come and solve the problems. And also the most important part here is that the role of the teachers are changing. The teachers are not the center. In my opinion, the students the classes will be like, the online classes will be changed to somehow student-centered classes, and the teacher role is supporting the students.
I believe that both India, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh share a similar kind of socio-cultural and socio-economic background. So the experience that I'm going to talk about will have overlapping elements. So it's almost the similar kind of thing. And for me, the three challenges, if I want to sum up and put it like this, and the first one will be the lack of training, both for the teachers and for the students, and secondly, the mindset of the teachers and the students, and then last one is the more practical one, that is the technical issues involved in conducting online classes or in conducting education online, like internet speed, electricity problem, network issues, etc. Now, for the first two things, it is just after March or before March, none of us had any idea that classes can be held like this. There have been numerous occasions in our lives when we were not able to take the classes by reaching to the classroom on time. And the similar kind of thing happened for the students. But we have never explored that, okay, if I cannot reach my class because of traffic jam, as this is a very burning issue in this part of the world, or maybe I'm not feeling well, or some other technical or environmental or some political unrest, something like this. If I am not able to take the class by going to the classroom, I can compensate that by offering my classes online. It's not that Zoom or Google Meet or Google Classroom, all these things were not there before March. These things were there, but we didn't have the capacity.
The idea that students think when they're on Zoom, somehow we don't know them or we won't call them by name, I think was my initial challenge. So I, to make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more humorous, and to engage them through that humor was one of my biggest challenges, I think, initially. So over a period of time, then when somebody answers, for instance, when say Miss Sarah answers, and I go, oh, Miss Sarah of the $20 million fame, right? And so, then there's a way to interact in a different way in class. And so that setting that tone was the difficult part initially. The other is to engage students and to ensure that they are engaged back. A lot of times students know that sometimes we don't watch them as closely. So to let them know that, learning is not, there's going to be no difference in learning because of COVID, right? Yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's different. But it's not something that will change the content or the material or what's expected of them in terms of work will not change. That's something that I found initially to navigate was difficult. But the only biggest challenge I did face is to understand how much I did not know. Right? Because I used Zoom before, there was this feeling that, oh, of course I can teach this class in Zoom, right? And then you suddenly realize, yes, I mean, you can teach a class in Zoom, but there's so much more to learn. So to transform into a learner simultaneously was the most difficult thing. Especially in the US, students don't have a problem with phones. However, for them to use phones for a learning purpose is a new phenomenon, right? So to tell them, look, yes, I'm so glad you have phones, right? And you don't have that issue, but now you use it for a more sort of positive thing rather than to talk or whatever it is they're doing. And to get that into their heads, I thought was a bit of a challenge. What we do, and that's because if I do want to say Dean Adiye facilitated what we now call as a hybrid class. So there are some students who are actually in class, and then there are some remote learners. So we've facilitated that for both of these learners. Of course, for many of us, that's an operational challenge, right? Because so I walk in the first day, and the first thing students say, oh, I can't see you behind the glass. The fact is they can't ever see me, whether behind the glass, because I'm so small. But now I have this additional challenge of I can't see you behind the glass. And then, of course, my mask popped out. It started popping out every 2 seconds. And so, you know, here I am trying to enforce a mask policy with my mask popping out. And then I thought the biggest operational challenge was the hybrid learners, the ones who were remotely learning. They thought somehow these questions won't go to them. You know, or there are students in front of her. She's going to naturally call the students in front of her to answer. But you know, obviously I'm going to try to catch on the online learners. And many of them will go, oh, me? Yes, of course you, because I can't see you. I see the people in front of me and I know they're learning, right? So you're the obvious target. And then, of course, to make a joke and make them relax. So that was the, to get into a new system, really was what, and to be aware that we are transforming, that's the biggest challenge.
Now, undeniably, National Education Policy 2020 changes are quite progressive and futuristic, but there persist certain challenges, especially in its implementation, to discuss some implementation. So with regard to, I can say, technology utilization, adequate infrastructure, and I think national educational policy and this execution challenges with regard to the executions. So there are many things like that. So if I, as for example, if technology utilization, if I say, then during tough times like COVID-19, the way teachers have shifted to online education is indeed commendable. However, more familiarity and tech friendliness, I can say, are vital to ensure a seamless. So learning experience for students, though digital modes. So without proper technology utilization, teachers are likely to encounter challenges in assuring collaborative learning, active student participation, and smooth adaptation of digital study materials. So moreover, teaching subjects like physical education, mathematics, law, etc. online remain a challenge, basically.
I'll start with what is already known. We are living in what is known as the VUCA world, which is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity.
Right.
Okay. That has been underlined and underscored and overscored, whichever way you like to put it, in every field of our living. And education is no different. However, one of the things that needs to be said is one sector which tried and has made constant effort over the last 4-5 months is bouncing back to as near normal as possible. 10 major stakeholders, as I was talking to you. First, of course, the students, then the teachers, then the staff and the administrators of the university, then, of course, the parents, community, the elected representatives, the government, and the regulators. All these form the ecosystem, and each one of us have now had to somehow, like you rightly said, have to come together, have to coalesce, have to collaborate to be able to make education a success. It has been a never before experience, at least not in my living memory. However, what is really fascinating is that all these, 10 stakeholders or 11 stakeholders have really tried to do their best.
It's often said that, the coronavirus has come to take a breather in life.
right? So we'll take a breather as well. The only difference being that our breather is going to be a time breather for 4 minutes. We'll come back. Stay with us.
Imagine you were born in 1900. When you were 14, the World War I begins and ends when you were 18, with 22 million people dead. Soon after the global pandemic, the Spanish flu appears, killing 50 million people, and you are alive and 20 years old. When you were 29, you survived the global economic crisis that started with the collapse of the New York Stock Exchange, causing inflation, unemployment, and famine. When you were 33, the Nazis came to power. And when you were 39, the World War II begins and ends when you're 45, with 60 million people dead. And in the Holocaust, 6 million Jews died. When you were 52, the Korean War begins. When you were 64, the Vietnam War begins and ends when you were 75. A child born in 1985 thinks his grandparents have no idea how difficult life is, but they have survived several wars and catastrophes. Today, we have all the comfort in our new world amid a new pandemic, but we complain because we have to, because we need to wear masks. We complain because we must stay confined to our homes, where we have food, electricity, running water, Wi-Fi, and even Netflix. None of that existed back in the day, but humanity survived those circumstances and never lost their joy of living. A small change in our perspective can generate miracles. We should be thankful that we are alive. We should do everything we need to protect and help each other.
Welcome back to Edumate.tv, India's first live TV initiative focusing on higher education. Well, it is indeed an interesting international candid COVID classroom. Now, isn't it? We will bring it right back to you after this very short break. Stay tuned.
जो सबसे समझदार लोग हैं वो लोग क्या लेते हैं? साइंस लेते हैं. उससे कम समझदार लोग कॉमर्स लेते हैं. उससे कम समझदार लोग आर्ट्स लेते हैं. उससे कम समझदार लोग स्कूलिंग करते हैं. उससे कम समझदार लोग देहाती लेते हैं. सबसे ज्यादा समझदार लोग कौन होते हैं? साइंस लेते हैं. जो ये लोग बीटेक करते हैं, इंजीनियरिंग करते हैं ये लोग, ठीक है. जो लोग कॉमर्स करते हैं ये लोग बीकॉम के बाद एमबीए करते हैं. एमबीए के अंडर में बीटेक काम करते हैं. जो लोग आर्ट्स लेते हैं ये लोग सिविल सर्विसेज में जाते हैं. इनके अंडर में एमबीए काम करते हैं. इनके अंडर में बीटेक काम करते हैं. जो लोग सिर्फ स्कूलिंग की होते हैं, पढ़े, वो पॉलिटिशियन बनते हैं. इनके अंडर में आईएएस काम करते हैं. इनके अंडर में एमबीए काम करते हैं. इनके अंडर में बीटेक काम करते हैं. और निहायती नालायक लोग सो कॉल्ड साधु बनते हैं, जिनके अंडर में पॉलिटिशियन काम करते हैं, जिनके अंडर में आईएएस काम करता है, जिनके अंडर में कॉमर्स एमबीए काम करते हैं, जिनके अंडर में बीटेक काम करता है. कर ली अपनी बीटेक एमटेक.
Hey, welcome to Edumate. I'm proud to be part of Edumate University.
Edumate University. Pursue excellence.
You know you are an engineer when car trouble, no trouble. Hedge overgrown and you can't reach, there ain't no problem engineers can't solve. Engineer, what my friends think I do, what my mom thinks I do, what society thinks I do, what the government thinks I do, what I think I do, and what I really do. Types of engineers and their offices. Thanks to engineering colleges for giving us engineers.
Based on the foundational pillars of access, equity, accountability, quality and affordability, I hope this policy is going to bring huge changes in India's economic growth and human capital development. It amalgamates the best practices from several Western and Southeast Asian countries and even countries for Europe.
For the first time, I'm seeing that there is a deviation from curricular load to reducing the content to the essential core. I think this is going to go a long way in producing deep thinkers in our country.
The policy is too idealistic to my mind, and its practical implementation in a country as vast and as diverse as in India will be a major challenge for the government of India and for the entire teaching community.
What's necessary for an educational institution is to provide conditions in which a young person or a student, or even faculty, can begin to unfold the kind of brilliance and talent that they have within themselves. And I think that the new education policy really lays down the conditions, the framework, the parameters for this to happen. So in that sense, it's a remarkable document.
Well, ironically, the new education policy aims not just at education, but the entire gamut of human resource development, as it expands the lens beyond structured curriculum and predictable careers to a holistic 360-degree character-building process, as it addresses the critical needs of employment and employability, offering a creative mix of flexibility and focus all throughout the learning life of the student, as it empowers the teacher, enhancing transparency and accountability through leaner governance. The new education policy truly has the makings of perfect and clear 2020 vision, provided it's implemented in true letter and spirit.
Welcome back to Edumate.tv, India's first live TV initiative focusing on higher education. Now let's go back to our international new normal candid COVID classroom and join Chetan Sharma, founder of Edumate.tv, in conversation with industry, domain experts, principals and university professors on special topics which are creating a buzz in the post-COVID environment.
Welcome back to this special episode of Edumate.tv, where we are espousing our global chapter on the coronavirus pandemic, discussing challenges, solutions, and of course, opportunities. We've taken a leaf out of Dr. Srividya's book to bring you a little bit of humor to make it more engaging for each and every one of us. So thank you for that. One of the mottos on Edumate.tv is to infuse positivity in what we do. And that's the reason we chose, in our first section, to have solutions along with challenges. But it doesn't stop at positivity. It's got to expand to progress. And that progress can only come when we start looking at obstacles from the lens of opportunities. So our next section will bring us to the 3 top opportunities which each of our credible luminary guests have for today.
That a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. And it really is, there's some truth to that. There is tremendous opportunity at this moment for those institutions that seize it. So again, I'm going to give my 3 lists, but I say one other quick point is, I have been struck as I've observed almost every sector, law schools, which I know well, universities more broadly, accounting firms, law firms, hair salons, gas stations. I look at 2 institutions that as of 6 months ago looked very similar. Their financial situation was similar, they were geographically similarly situated, their business was similar. 6 months later, one of them is on the cusp of bankruptcy. One of them is barely hanging on. And one of them has never done better. One of them has never seen a more profitable quarter or a more profitable month in their career. So from my vantage, there is really, this is a moment when those institutions, those academic institutions and other businesses that identify where there is opportunity and seize that opportunity can thrive and succeed. And those that don't do it, those who keep trying to do the same thing and hope for different results, really face this incredible peril that they fall behind it.
See, in our culture, in our society, mostly, the parents don't want their children use these laptops or mobile phones very often, because they think that children might, get spoiled by using these mobile phones and internet very often. But so during this pandemic, irrespective of the class and the socioeconomic background, all parents understood one fact, that this new platform, online education, is an unavoidable one. So the student, their children must be exposed to this online education. So they must get used to the mobile phones and the laptops with the internet connection. So now most of the parents, develop that attitude, positive attitude towards the use of these mobile phones and internet. So that is one great change.
We experienced or explored new ways of learning, and because of this pandemic situation, our orientation towards learning and teaching has changed. So now we know that we can actually self-learn, we can self-teach, we can rely on other sources and resources for enriching us. Classroom and teachers are not the one and only sources for learning. We can explore other ways. Okay, so we are going towards self-reliant learning, perhaps. Then let me be optimistic that Corona will go someday. But our capacity that we have developed, the skills that we have acquired during these days will stay with us and will help us enrich our learning experiences in future in a more comprehensive manner. I mean to say that we will be able to be more creative and highly imaginative and come up with newer ways of teaching. Like, we will incorporate more blended learning approaches, or maybe flipped classroom approaches, complementary to our regular classroom.
Regarding opportunities, as I told you before, so definitely self-learning as a solution can be an opportunity when it comes to this opportunity, because it can be regarded as an opportunity because the students will be much more self-raised, self-confident, and also they can be talentful. So we cannot forget this opportunity. And another opportunity that it comes in my mind is we've got the opportunity to study and research. The students, the learners who are interested in studying. So it's a good opportunity. They can study whatever they want. They can read the novels that they were dreamed of reading that before. And about research, for example, those researchers that they love doing research, so it's a good opportunity for them to write down what comes to their mind. So it's a good opportunity for them.
And going digital has helped, to me, voices of academics around the world. Hearing that has been an important opportunity, right? Where else would I get the opportunity to hear about Dr. Nasheed's, views and, Dr. Masheed's views, right, on issues in Iran and Bangladesh. So I think it absolutely opens up the ability to make it more inclusive, to make the discussion more robust. Then we talked about digital divide. And there is always this assumption that digital divide is only in countries like, say, India, Bangladesh, and Iran. The coronavirus has opened up to the digital divide within the US, right? So a lot of times kids come to campus, they stay in the dorms, and we never know their backgrounds. We never know issues that they've faced, right? So now with everybody going digital, we realize that digital divide is a global phenomena. Right, it's opened up to. I've struggled through my career, right, to show empathy, to teach empathy to my U.S. students, right. The idea of access to everybody, the idea that there are people who it's not that they are incapable, it's just that some things are inaccessible to them. And now, this is an opportunity for me to teach them a little bit of awareness of the globe, right? And it also, in some ways, has highlighted, it's brought down that American exceptionalism, which I think has been, it's been good for the American ego in a lot of ways, honestly. And it's also showed some of the issues in the US. The US has to look at healthcare, all from digital, digital divide, healthcare and empathy, things that shows a divisiveness which we were able to, in some ways, not bring to the forefront. We kind of assumed it wasn't there in a developed country.
So while almost every sector struggles to cope with COVID-19 effects, education continues to evolve with new light of hope. So the sudden transition from conventional to digital learning has instilled confidence and a realization about much needed change. So additionally, with the progressive National Education Policy 2020 in existence, it offers academic institutions the opportunity to self-empower teachers, focus more on skill development, upgrade technology and infrastructure, and make education more accessible. This is number one. Number two, for students, this gives an excellent scope to traverse beyond their, textual boundaries, explore the broader world via internet, and learn new techniques related to video presentation, Google Classrooms, online assignment presentations, etc. They're also learning to use various software for audio and video editing, photo editing, creating mobile content, and many more. And with third is with practical exposure going off the table for the immediate few years. It's scope for alternative paradigms and new collaborations for teaching, research and learning. Virtual lectures, joint teaching sessions with global universities can provide them with a great exposure even amid the coronavirus pandemic. So the bottom line is, regardless of how tough the situation is, success always comes with preparedness when an opportunity crops up. So instead of getting completely bogged down, right, we need to move forward with innovative changes and adapt to the new normal efficiently.
As we go into this mixed bag of, like I described you three, is how do we encourage social interaction? Because being a first-class engineer doesn't help. You have to be part of the entire, social ecosystem. I just want to add one thing. I have been your admirer for a long, long time, and it's great interacting with you so closely. Thank you, Chetan. Thank you for having me on this show. I think you are running a great mission, and this is the right time. This is the right time when you can take it forward, and please try and reach as many people as you can in the education world, not only the faculty and the students, but more importantly, the people who are behind the scene, the administrators, the regulators. Those are the people who need to now look at this with a different paradigm. That is all I can say. All my best wishes to you, and may you succeed in your mission.
So there you are, Dr. Robert, Dr. Srividya, Dr. Karunakaran, Dr. Mashi, Dr. Naushad, and Dr. Ripon. Speaking to you has not been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've learned so much from each and every one of you, and I thank you for being what you are, for highlighting and being so insightful and integral in your approach and innovative as well. And I hope each of you have learned from each other from this very special webinar. I thank Najma and the team of Dilpreet, Swati and Remy for stitching this together for all of us. You know, the saying goes that all of us are in the same boat. I'm not quite sure and I agree with that. For me, all of us are actually in the same storm. Our boats are very different. And just the way each and every one of you have chosen to keep your boat afloat itself is a great learning. Thank you for being exactly what you are. And I always say on Edumate.tv, the only way to fight the big C called COVID is by the 3 C's of being collective, creative, and correct. You all have been just that. And at the end of it all, don't forget, educate better, you'd better edumate.
Our role in an educational institution is to prepare our students to think and make persuasive arguments which force the world to change.
The idea of interwovenness is that the very many concepts that we think are very critical, whether it's a sense of history, whether it's a sense of writing and oral communications, whether it's the fluency with data and digital, the idea of ethical decision making, get introduced, reintroduced, affirmed, reaffirmed in different contexts.
The reason I joined CREA is because I wanted to study and experience a multitude of subjects at the same time. I've already seen how subjects interweave. For instance, scientific reasoning interweaves with philosophy, social and historical interweaves with data analytics.
At CREA, we're looking at history as central to understanding social change. We want students to be able to appreciate the intellectual evolution of different disciplines, whether mathematical or scientific, literary or philosophical.
At the end of the writing and oral communications course, students are writing in ways that are thoughtful, complex, and nuanced.
I have changed from writing I feel, I think statements to writing arguments well substantiated with evidence and text.
The creative expression course demands that students think differently, out of the box, in a way that they have never done before.
In the first trimester, we were given projects such as making our own raps and making our own podcasts. And we did all of this in our media lab. And our media lab's been fully equipped with virtual reality equipment, which we play around with, whether it be games or even painting around.
The foremost principle that we had in mind while designing student life was self-governance or self-curation. So we had to wait for the students to really come into our campus and work with us to co-create the student life experience.
The favorite part about life at CREA is the friendly environment that is being created among students, faculty and other members living in the campus. Each and every person over here is encouraged to voice their own opinions.
All I'm trying to do is simply expose people to just the kinds of experiences that I've had, for which I'm extraordinarily grateful to a lot of people, starting with parents and just a lot of others giving me that space.
Sri City is a great place for outdoor activities. The Satavedu forest is just a couple of kilometers in that direction, and the Pulikat lake is about 5-6 kilometers east from where we are. Both of these places are very nice hiking trails and biking trails. So overall here we can plan a lot of great outdoor activities.
We at Kriya take a lot of pride in having sports and well-being as an integral part of our culture. The enthusiasm the students have been showing is very, very positive.
When I'm not in class, there are so many other things to do. Right from thought-provoking and challenging assignments, guest lectures, and various other club activities. There's a general culture of being engaged with the world at large, critical thinking and respectful discourse, which I feel add a great deal of value outside the classroom. I would recommend Kriya to anybody who would like an education that pushes them to evolve at an individual level.
Welcome back to Edumate.tv, India's first live TV initiative focusing on higher education. Coming ahead is our very special show, The Vice Chancellor, with Dr. Sibaram Khara, Vice Chancellor Sharda University, in an exclusive conversation of insights and inspiration with Chetan Sharma, founder Edumate.tv. Over to Chetan.
Hello and welcome to Edumate.tv. I'm Chetan Sharma. We learn to live and live to learn in what has turned out to be an unprecedented situation, unprecedented pandemic, with history being written across the geography of Mother Earth. And a minor virus has created a major catastrophe, making us all rewind, reboot, rethink, reformat before we rebuild a new norm, a new world. In the field of education, this world will be new, will be led by solutions, will be led by overcoming of challenges. But for that, you need one trait which is critical at the helm of higher education. And that trait is a wisdom. Wisdom which has been gathered from the past knowledge, past experience, but more importantly, wisdom to be able to anticipate and embrace and evolve into a new future. And that's why we have what we call, in the world of higher education, the Wise Chancellor. And today we have a very special and wise Chancellor with us from Sharda University. We have Mr. Sibaram Khare. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Such a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Right, sir, talk us through this very intriguing and exceptional journey of Sharda University. You've attained so much in such little time. Why and how?
I joined Sharda University in the month of May 2019. And coming over here, a lot of academic transformational approaches were adopted, and it's very specific to the teaching learning. Quality teaching learning measures we took, and first we initiated the outcome-based educations, the philosophy and the concepts and the process and the implementation plan, and then educating the faculty members. And then we took up the content delivery, methods of instructions, how pedagogy can be very impactfully embedded in the teaching learning process. And then we also implemented the monitoring, the quality monitoring system through your iCloud, a special software were procured, so that right from the timetable, teaching lesson plan, then your assignments, material, quality check, assessments, and marks analysis, corrective actions, slow first learners management, mentoring, online mentoring systems, and then impact analysis. And through this, we actually ensure the teaching learning, quality teaching learning, and also the teaching learning was adopted in line with the outcome-based educations.
You've done so much in such little time, it almost seems that you had anticipated a corona coming. But tell us, what was the most difficult part of these challenges and how did you overcome it?
When COVID-19 happened, it was in the mid of the March. So in the first week of March, actually, we completed our midterm examinations. Almost more than 50-60% syllabus was covered. But after just declarations of the midterm result, we were about to start with the third module of the syllabus. And but suddenly the lockdown happened, and then students were moving from campus to their home. We had to continue the online teaching learning activities. So most difficult part was very beginning to identify a very useful tools for conducting online teaching learning and then engaging the students. And we faced a lot of problems also in terms of the devices and bandwidth, of course, from the student side. But here, very innovatively, we planned that we'll go ahead with the timetable, whatever is prepared, and students were advised to attend the classes online and come to the class virtually, attend the classes as per their timetable. The faculty members were advised, and we have a very strong monitoring mechanism which we developed. So at the end of the day, by 8 p.m. every day, we used to analyze the participations of the students, then materials uploaded. So our Community Connect program, which is very unique in Saudha University, that in every semester, at least 6,000 students will visit community. We arrange all facilities so that we make students or graduates who are really will be capable of showing concerns towards the society and community. And when they become leaders, they will really think that societal views and then take the appropriate action. So all those societies or community the students visited, so they made a online survey and impacts in that aspects, how these things are hampering. And then we had a virtual laboratory systems. Of course, few laboratory where really strictly hardware is required, we converted into video-based and then simulation-based experiments. And projects also, except hardware-based projects, all the projects were converted to survey-based, case study-based, simulation-based, analytical-based, model-based. All these modes were sitting in the students at home, they can continue and they can learn as well. And we revised our evaluation process, but we did it very efficiently and we calculated the outcome also. So finally, we have declared all the results and we did all the things.
I've heard the word outcome, which is very close to your heart, obviously, not just in terms of education, but importantly, it's in what you do yourself. And I guess that's the trait of a great leader. It's not just what you say, you actually live what you say. And it's quite commendable, actually. You've taken holistic education to a different level.
We have adopted 5 villages, but here we made a special team in the university, and during this COVID also, the team used to visit that villages, nearby villages, 5 villages, and we have given them enormous support, educating them, creating awareness, and we studied the impact of the COVID-19 in their day-to-day life, and we prepared a 60 pages report of all those 5 villages, and we have submitted to UGC and government. Our chancellor is very visionary person. His philosophy is really wonderful, and this is the 3rd year we are implementing Community Connect. That really this will be helpful in making the self-reliant India, because unless students knows the problems of the rural and the common people, the products, demands, and then its markets, its futures and trends. So students can become anything, either a solution provider, or it can be entrepreneur, or it can be an analyst, or even a project developer.
That is exactly what I was going to say, that you've been an institution which represents the philosophy and the thinking of the Prime Minister when he says that we require self-reliant India. That's exactly what I was going to say. And thank you for saying that for me. And I admire, just the vision of Saudha University. I'd like you to lay down the vision of Saudha University.
We have to create the knowledge, and the knowledge will be value-based knowledge. So in Saudha University, since it is a multidisciplinary university, we have medicines, dental, nurse, saying allied health science, law, business, engineering, architecture, media, and education. Almost every programs are there. So value-based educations and your knowledge, your wisdom, and ethics to be embedded in your curriculum knowledge, so that the people should take the right understanding and right decision for the welfare of the society. That is the motto of our university.
Incredible how you're looking beyond books and looking at a nation. Because you're looking at character building, and when you do character building of your students, then you do character building of your nation. And it's really very inspiring. When you talk about the nation, even this nation, like all of us, are going through this crisis. It's a new crisis. It's unprecedented. And whenever you're hit with something new, obviously there will be debate, there'll be discussions, there will be unprecedented in the way you've got to behave and act. In a scenario like that, we've seen a lot of decisions coming out from the government, from the Supreme Court, and a lot of opposition from parents and society, from teachers, whether it was scrapping of exams, whether it was restarting the institutions, whether it's payment of fee, whether it's reduction in terms of course curriculum. Is there anything that's special you'd like to opine on?
First of all, is one thing is that the teaching, learning, and curriculum is to go ahead, uninterrupted and seamlessly. So that's why a lot of guidelines are coming, but guidelines are always advisory in nature rather than the regulations. You see, at this point for government as well as university, is very difficult to regulate anything or to make a fixed decisions. We have COVID cell. We also have revised a lot of decisions because the situations is changing day by day. So always confusions are there, and it is very obvious because the situation is such that no unique solutions can satisfy to the teachers community as well as to the students.
Some stage, Dr. Khare, you have to get over with the confusion. Cannot help anybody.
No.
Confusion is conflicting. There has to be some decision taken, and everybody has to respect it and move ahead with it. That's the way forward. Good, bad, or ugly, there are bound to be ramifications of any decision.
We have university have taken decisions, and we have conducted examination for final year. Other year students we have evaluated. We have given proper notice. So for our university, academic related, no such conflict is there, and we have completed it successfully. Our results are published also.
A trait of your wonderful leadership, and that is efficiency and being clear and forthright. So I commend you for that as well. Thank you for bringing that up. Now, you mentioned the word online. You also mentioned the word community connect. From that, what I infer is a large portion of your student base would also be from rural India, I presume. If that be the case, single most sinister threat which could divide this country is the digital divide. How concerning is that for you?
From the practical experience, we have students from Nepal, we have students from Bihar, many interior parts, and in India as well. We have students from Kashmir and many other parts of the India. During the online classes itself, we have seen that there is a digital divisions, where bandwidth is the most important, this dividing factors here, and then your devices. Mostly we have seen that students are participating in the events through their smartphones. So all the students cannot have the laptops, and then if you have to do certain kind of solutions, assignments, and then participate in proper manner in the laptop also for examination or online test, quizzes, and then bandwidth. So there is a division. I think these things should be patched up and solution is to be provided. And I think government is taking initiative. Unless we give the connectivity to all the education seekers, or specifically in the rural area, and then here actually by opening only the regulations that yes, on distance learning facility is there, but connectivity is not there, then probably we are not reaching with the educations to the people. But we are making no forum open for the students to participate.
Well, I've observed a lot of traits of leadership, and one of them, of course, is how you've thought through the entire process. All traits of a great leader, and of course also not just of anticipation, of efficient implementation. So that makes me a little more intrigued about Dr. Khare. What is the unique proposition of Dr. Khare? Talk us through Dr. Shibram Khare's career so far and inspire us?
Oh, yeah. See, initially I was in industry, and then I joined in academics last 20 years. In my academic career, I work passionately. Okay, work is my passion. I love to work. So there is a difference. And in education, always I think that instead of taking the usual things as usual, that is always there, what next of the innovative way can be done. So always in along with the systems, I think ahead that what innovations can be done in the system. And then once you think that, a leader has to be very hardworking as well. So by doing this, my research as well as my administrative career is good. And before this, I have been in VIT University, Vellore, where I have really done good there. And then I moved to Galgotias University. And from the beginning itself, I was Pro-Vice Chancellor there. And that is the university where actually from the scratch pad, I developed everything, all academic best practices. And then I was the very front liners in implementing the outcome-based educations. Calcutta University is the first university, and then we are involved in NBA also. And then coming over here, it's a good university, multidisciplinary university, wonderful infrastructures, and there is always scope of improvement everywhere. So with this leadership, we are thinking that we have to improve quality, research, and come forward, and we have to prove ourselves. And let us see. Certainly, we'll transform.
Wonderful. And that's again a very typical trait of a great leader: the quest for learning, the quest for improvement, and just the understanding the limitations of complacency. I think that's it's quite beautifully put. Now, when you talk about looking ahead, Dr. Khare, the ahead seems very uncertain. And the uncertainty has been thrown across the entire ecosphere of education. Whether it's the parent, the student, the teacher, and even your fellow vice chancellors. What would be your advice to each of these?
Students are the main stakeholders of any of the education system. To have the stakeholders in the university, the university or any educational institute have the vision that how you can make a preferred destination for the admission seekers or for the students. Any university we need to prove ourselves the quality and then educations as well as placements and research and other things, so that you prove with the quality, so that somebody will prefer, yes, I will take admission there. So that means any university organization need to have this very authentic and honest quality initiative, because you have to sustain whatever you achieve. So that is one message for the education institutions. And for students, it is for the parents and students to decide which streams they will study. So university, they have to choose multidisciplinary, an opportunity where even engineer can take engineering law, or even business can take some medical management, because now liberal educations and multidisciplinary approach is very important to give any solutions to the society. And for parents also, wherever education, of course, the capability of the parents matter, how much they can afford. But yes, better education is always required. They have to see few things also before they take admissions. So all these infrastructure, facilities, laboratory, faculty strength, and then your facilities, research facilities, project facilities, multidisciplinary scopes, and many other aspects. Whether it is there, and then better education and better scope is there, you take the decision for admission of your words.
Thank you for being an incredible guide, and for opening up the minds, and for infusing a sense of lateral thinking. And your pearls of wisdom in terms of your advice truly make you the wise chancellor.
You are doing a wonderful job and contributions to the society by bringing the experts. So you are presenting through the mouth of all those visionary people useful informations, thereby contributing to the society, specifically in the fraternity of education. Is a great job, and it is one kind of great service to the society, specifically in the education sector. I admire this.
Thanks for watching this live broadcast on Edumate.tv. Stay logged on to www.edumate.tv for all the latest news and analysis from the world of higher education. And do remember, to educate better, you better edumate.